Hello and welcome to KoKo Language Learning Lounge.
We're glad you're here. I'm Rob.
And I'm Crystal. Today's episode is part one of our two-part conversation about using English in the workplace with confidence, care, and connection.
In this first part, we'll walk through four essential areas: how to prepare your mindset before a meeting, how to speak up with confidence during meetings, how to write respectful and effective emails, and how to communicate with warmth across different cultures.
Each of these topics reflects moments we all face at work, whether it's starting your day with a team call, writing to a colleague in another department, or connecting with someone from a different background.
We'll share real examples, complete sentences, and personal stories to guide you through each situation gently.
And we hope that as you listen, you'll feel supported, encouraged, and reminded that your voice matters exactly as it is. Before I joined my first English speaking company, I used to feel very nervous about meetings. I worried that I might not understand everything, and I also worried that I might say something incorrectly. That fear would hold me back, even when I had valuable ideas to share.
I remember when I had prepared for a 5-minute presentation for several days. I practiced each sentence over and over. However, right before the meeting, my heart was pounding. I thought, what if I forget my words, or what if my accent is too strong?
Those feelings are completely natural. Many people experience them, even if they do not say it out loud.
This is why we want to begin this episode by discussing how to prepare your mindset. It is not only about what you say, but also about how you feel before you speak.
Here is one thing I do before every important meeting. I find a quiet place, even if it is only for 1 minute. Then I sit down, close my eyes, and take a deep breath. I count slowly as I inhale and exhale.
You can also try gently telling yourself something positive. For example, I often tell myself, I bring value to this meeting. When I breathe in, I think I bring value. When I breathe out, I think I let go of my fear.
Let's put that into a full set of complete sentences.
Before your next meeting, you should take a quiet moment to ground yourself. You should sit down and remain still for 30 seconds. As you breathe in, you should tell yourself, I bring value to this meeting. As you breathe out, you should tell yourself, I release the fear within me. These sentences are simple, but they hold significant meaning. They remind you that your ideas are important and that you belong at the table.
Your English does not have to be flawless. What matters most is that you show up with kindness and clarity.
That is correct. The most powerful thing you can bring to any meeting is not perfect grammar, but a calm and open heart.
Now that we have covered how to prepare your mind before a meeting, let us move on to something that many people find intimidating: speaking up during meetings.
This can feel especially overwhelming when English is not your first language. You may worry, what if I say something incorrectly? Or what if others do not understand me?
I used to feel exactly that way. During a group meeting with native English speakers, I would often stay silent even when I had a good idea because I feared being judged.
However, I discovered that the more I spoke, even if only a little, the more confidence I built. I began with small steps, such as asking a simple question or expressing polite agreement.
That is a great approach. You do not need to deliver a long speech. Even speaking briefly, yet clearly and thoughtfully, can make a meaningful difference.
Here are some useful phrases that can help you participate in a meeting effectively and respectfully. For instance, you can say, I would like to add something here, or you can say, if I may, I would like to share a quick thought, or you can start with, that is interesting. May I ask a follow-up question?
Those are respectful and friendly ways to speak up. If you ever feel unsure how to begin, you can say complete sentences like, I am not sure if this is the right moment, but I would like to mention something important. Or, this may offer a different perspective. but I think it might be helpful.
Now let us walk through a short example of dialogue that might take place during a meeting.
Thank you all for coming today. We are here to brainstorm ideas for the new product launch. Does anyone have any initial thoughts?
If I may, I would like to share a quick thought.
Of course, Crystal. Please go ahead.
I am thinking that we could create a short video that tells the product's story in a simple and clear way, perhaps from the customer's point of view.
That is a wonderful idea. I would like to add something to Crystal's suggestion. Maybe we could include subtitles in multiple languages so that we can reach more audiences.
Those are both excellent ideas. Let us note them down as our key options.
Did you notice how we joined the conversation using short, polite phrases? We did not interrupt anyone. We waited patiently, listened carefully, and then spoke clearly.
Also, we did not try to present too much at once. We each expressed one clear thought. That is an ideal approach when you are still developing confidence.
Now, I want to address one important point. You should not feel afraid to ask for clarification if you do not understand what someone said. For example, you can say, I am sorry, but could you please repeat that more slowly? Or you can say, I'm afraid I did not fully understand. Could you please explain it again? Or you can ask, do you mean that restate what you understood?
When you ask for clarification in this way, it shows that you are attentive and that you care about understanding correctly. That is a sign of strength, not weakness.
Indeed. There may also be times when you need a moment to gather your thoughts before answering. In such cases, you can say, please allow me a moment to think about that. Or, that is an excellent question. I would like a few seconds to organize my response.
Using those kinds of complete sentences helps you buy time and structure your response without feeling rushed.
Let us go through another example. This one is about disagreeing in a polite and constructive way during a meeting.
I believe we should focus our efforts on online advertising given that the majority of our target audience spends time on social media.
You have made a good point, Rob. I do see the value of social media advertising. However, I am wondering if we might also be missing an opportunity with email newsletters, since our past data shows that they generate high engagement.
That is a very helpful observation, Crystal. Let us consider both online advertising and email newsletters and compare their impacts.
In that dialogue, Crystal expressed a respectful disagreement by first acknowledging my idea and then offering a different suggestion. That approach keeps the conversation collaborative and goal-oriented.
Yes, it helps maintain a positive atmosphere and shows that our aim is to build on ideas together rather than to be right.
I also want to emphasize that your accent is part of who you are, and it does not detract from your professionalism. Your unique background and voice are valuable.
That is an important reminder. You do not need to sound like a native speaker to earn respect in the workplace.
Confidence grows through practice, but it also grows from being gentle and patient with yourself.
Absolutely. Please remember that every time you use English, even for a short phrase or an imperfect sentence, you are taking a step forward in your journey.
Now, let us take a moment to pause together. I encourage you to breathe deeply and silently say to yourself, I am doing my best. I am learning. I have something meaningful to say.
In addition to speaking confidently in meetings, another essential skill in the workplace is writing effective and professional emails. Emails are often the first impression you make, especially when working with people across countries and time zones.
Absolutely. I remember the first few times I had to write emails to colleagues and clients. I double checked every sentence. I wasn't just worried about grammar, I was worried about tone. I kept asking myself, am I being too direct, too soft? Will they think I'm confident or unsure?
I went through that same experience. It can be hard to know how to sound polite, respectful, and clear all at the same time, especially when English is not your first language.
Let's begin with something simple but powerful, the structure of a professional email. There are usually four parts: a polite greeting, a brief and clear purpose, details or requests, a warm closing.
Let's walk through each part. First, the greeting. Even something as simple as dear name or hi name is enough. It sets a respectful tone.
And then comes the purpose. For example, you can write, I hope you are doing well. I am writing to ask about the project update, or I wanted to follow up on our meeting from last week.
Then you share your message clearly. If you are making a request, it helps to be polite but direct. Instead of saying, send it to me now, you could say, could you please send me the updated report by Thursday? It shows both clarity and respect.
Finally, for the closing, you can use full and warm sentences like, thank you for your time and support, or I look forward to hearing from you. Then finish with best regards or warm wishes, followed by your name.
Let's take a look at a complete example. Here's a sample email someone might send to a teammate. Subject request for project update marketing campaign. Dear John, I hope you are doing well. I am writing to ask for a quick update on the marketing campaign progress. Could you please share the latest version of the campaign timeline by Thursday? This will help us stay aligned with the design team's schedule. Thank you so much for your support and cooperation. I truly appreciate your help. Best regards. Crystal.
That email is short, respectful, and clear. It includes everything the recipient needs to know, and the tone feels professional but also friendly.
Yes, and notice that I didn't use long or complicated words. Just complete sentences that show appreciation and direction.
Now, let's say you are responding to someone who made a mistake or missed a deadline. This can be tricky. You want to be honest, but also kind. Here's how I might write it. Subject: re-updated design files. Email: Dear Sam, thank you for your update. I understand that the final design files were delayed. I appreciate your message and your honesty. As we are working with a tight timeline, I would be grateful if we could receive the files by Monday. If there is anything I can do to support the process, please let me know. Thank you again for your continued efforts. I look forward to your reply. Warm regards, Rob.
I love that email. You acknowledge the delay, but you also show empathy. You're not angry, you're supportive.
Exactly. The goal is to maintain trust and cooperation, not to assign blame. That's especially important in multicultural workplaces where people may interpret tone differently.
Speaking of tone, sometimes people use phrases like ASAP or please respond immediately. Those can feel stressful, even if you don't mean them that way.
Yes. A softer but still clear alternative could be, if possible, I would appreciate receiving this by date, or it would be very helpful to hear back by day.
Here's another helpful tip. If you're unsure whether your message sounds too strong or too weak, read it out loud to yourself. If it feels natural and respectful, it's probably just right.
Also, don't be afraid to ask a trusted colleague to review your draft before you send it. I used to ask Crystal to check my important emails early in my career.
And I always felt honored to help. We all need each other to grow.
Let's also briefly talk about email signatures. Even if your company does not require it, it's good to include your full name, job title, and contact details. It shows professionalism and makes it easy for people to follow up.
Yes, a typical closing might look like this. Best regards, Crystal Kim, Project Coordinator. Email Crystal, kim@company.com. Phone 1-555-123-4567.
Very clean and helpful. Now, before we end this section, I want to leave you with one small but powerful reminder.
Go ahead, Rob.
Your writing is a reflection of your thoughtfulness. Each sentence you write, no matter how short or simple, is a step toward building trust, showing respect, and connecting with your team.
You do not have to be perfect. You only need to be kind, clear, and sincere. That is enough.
And with practice, it becomes easier. Writing in English becomes less about fear and more about connection.
So far, we've talked about preparing your mindset, speaking in meetings, and writing emails. Now, let's move into something that's deeply important in today's workplaces, communicating with people from different cultures.
When you work in a company that includes people from many different backgrounds, you quickly learn that language is only part of the challenge. Culture plays a big role in how we express ourselves, how we interpret messages, and even how we understand silence.
That's so true. In some cultures, being direct is considered respectful. In others, being indirect shows thoughtfulness and care. Neither is wrong, they're just different ways of showing respect.
Exactly. I remember a moment early in my career when I gave someone very direct feedback, thinking I was being honest and helpful. But later I found out that the person felt embarrassed. They came from a culture where feedback is usually given in private and with much more softness.
That's a great example. It shows why empathy matters so much in cross cultural communication. Before we assume someone is being rude or passive or unclear, we need to pause and ask ourselves, could this be a cultural difference?
Let's talk about some strategies that can help us communicate more smoothly with people from other cultures. One of the first is always choose kindness over cleverness.
That's beautiful. What do you mean by that?
I mean that when you're unsure, it's better to sound warm and a little simple than cold and complicated. For example, instead of saying, clearly that's the wrong approach, you could say, I wonder if we might look at another option.
I love that. It feels gentle and open. Here's another example. If someone shares an idea you don't fully agree with, instead of saying, that won't work, you could say, that's an interesting approach. Can we explore a few more possibilities as well?
These kinds of complete sentences help the conversation stay positive even when there's disagreement.
Another thing I've learned is to slow down when I speak. Sometimes when I get excited, I speak too quickly, especially when I feel comfortable in English. But not everyone can follow that pace.
Yes, especially when English is not the first language for your colleague. Speaking at a steady pace and using clear sentences helps everyone feel included.
And if someone is speaking to you in English and they make a mistake, please do not interrupt them or correct them in the middle of their sentence unless they ask you to. Let them finish. Listen for meaning, not perfection.
Yeah,
Let's walk through a dialogue example between two coworkers from different backgrounds. This will show how small language choices can make a big difference.
I think we should start the meeting with direct updates from each person. That way we can move quickly and keep it efficient.
That sounds very structured. In my experience, sometimes people feel more comfortable if we begin with some informal check in or small talk. It can help create a relaxed atmosphere before we begin the serious topics.
That's a good point. Maybe we could start with a 5-minute check in and then move into the updates.
That sounds like a great balance. Thank you for being open to that.
Notice how both people expressed their ideas clearly, but also made space for the other person's perspective.
Yes, and neither of us said, my way is better. We built something together. And that's the real goal of cross cultural teamwork.
Here's another useful phrase for these situations that's a new perspective for me. Thank you for sharing it. Saying this shows humility and appreciation.
Or you could say, I hadn't thought of it that way. That's helpful. These are full human sentences that make the conversation feel respectful.
Sometimes cultural differences appear in emails too. For example, one culture might expect short and direct emails, while another might see that as cold or unfriendly.
Yes, in some regions, an email that simply says, "Send me the file," could be seen as too harsh. But if you write, "I hope your day is going well. When you have a moment, could you please send me the file?" The message feels warmer.
It's about tone, and tone is often shaped by culture. So when in doubt, add one more sentence of kindness. It can change everything.
Now, let's talk about humor. Humor doesn't always translate across cultures. Jokes that are normal in one language can be confusing or even offensive in another.
That's why we suggest being careful with jokes in international settings. If you don't know how someone might take it, it's best to stay friendly and light, but not sarcastic or ironic.
Instead of using humor to break the ice, you can use empathy. For example, you might say, "I know this project has been challenging, but I really appreciate how everyone is staying focused." That kind of encouragement is universal.
Let's also remember that some cultures are more comfortable with silence than others. If someone is quiet in a meeting, it doesn't mean they're unprepared or uninterested. It might mean they are thinking deeply or being respectful.
So true. Giving people time to speak and not rushing to fill silence is a gift.
To wrap up this section, let's remember the heart of cross cultural communication: curiosity and kindness.
When you're curious, you ask questions like, "How do you usually handle this in your culture?" Or, "What's the best way to work together?" These questions show respect and invite connection.
And when you are kind, you speak in full, gentle sentences. You give people space. You assume good intentions. That makes all the difference.
So, wherever you work and whoever you work with, bring your whole self with humility, with warmth, and with a willingness to learn.
That's the spirit of global teamwork. And that's what makes English not just a business tool, but a human bridge. That brings us to the end of part one. Today, we explored what it means to prepare your mindset, speak in meetings, write professional emails, and connect with people across cultures using English.
We hope these examples and reflections have made these moments feel a little more manageable and a lot more human.
In our next episode, we'll move into part two. We'll talk about how to ask questions with confidence, how to give and receive feedback respectfully, and how to keep practicing English outside of work while staying motivated over time.
These are the moments that truly help us grow, not just as English speakers, but as communicators and colleagues.
So we invite you to join us in the next part. Until then, keep speaking kindly, listening deeply, and trusting your progress.
We're with you every step of the way.
Thanks for joining us on KoKo Language Learning Lounge. We'll be back soon with another episode.
Until then, take care and happy learning.